Hi everybody, Keith here. Hey, I made a video the other day about definitions of words, and I wanted to backtrack there. I said definitions are just another man's opinion, and so I thought, well, let's look up definition. So I looked it up, and this is what I come up with. And I believe this is Oxford American Dictionary, page 223. And before we can get to definition, we got to look up the pretext of the word, which is define. And on page 223 in the Oxford American Dictionary, it says define, and it starts right off using uh, its own precursor uh, to give a definition. Now, unless you know the meaning of definition, that doesn't say anything about the word define. Um, define would be better defined as to give a definition, would be better defined as to give a description. And then number two, it says to state or explain precisely, like I just did there. To outline clearly, to mark out the boundary of. And that's in the Oxford American Dictionary. Pretty simple definition. And then we go to the New Webster's Expanded Dictionary, and on page 82, it says for define, to limit, to explain exactly. And then under definition, and here we go again, the act of defining. So unless you know the meaning of defining, then you don't know what definition is. So it would be better described as the act of, or better defined as the act of describing. A brief description, there we go, a brief description of a thing by its properties, an explanation in words. That's those two. And then we go to the Webster's New Encyclopedia of Dictionaries, this big old thick one I've got here, page 100, and it says define, to determine the boundaries of, to state the exact meaning of, to circumscribe. And then for definition, it says description of a thing by its properties, explanation of the exact meaning of a word or term, distinctness. Okay, that's those. And then when you go online and check out these other dictionaries, we're gonna check out Black's Law Fourth. And in Black's Law Fourth, under define, it says to explain or state the exact meaning of word and phrases, to state explicitly, to limit, to determine essential qualities of, to determine the precise signification of, to settle, to establish or prescribe authoritatively, to make clear. And then it goes on to say, to declare that a certain act shall constitute an offense is defining that offense. To define with respect to space means to set or establish its boundaries authoritatively, to mark the limits of, to determine with precision or to exhibit clearly the boundaries of, to determine the end or limit, to fix or establish the limits, is the equivalent to declare, fix, or establish. A lot of the use of the same words. And then we go down to definition, and here we go, right back to, again, using the same words. A description of a thing by its properties, an explanation of the meaning of the exact meaning of a word by means of other words. Such a description of a thing defined, including all essential elements and excluding all non-essential, as to distinguish it from all other things and classes. Then, when we look online and we look up under definition, and we pull up Merriam-Webster.com, it says an act of determining, specifically, And it says here the formal proclamation of Roman Catholic dogma. 2a, it says a statement expressing the essential nature of something. B, a statement of the meaning of a word or word group or symbol, or a sign or symbol. Dictionary definitions. C, a product of defining. A product of defining. This is the best explanation I came across in regards to define and definition. You notice, like I said, they use a lot of the same words. Definition would be like a verb transitive. It is the actual act and the after effect. It is the actual when you define something, it's what you're seeing. You're able to see it, and your mind defines it in a picture. When you come up with a definition of it, you're able to verbally express it. The act or process of stating the meaning of a word or word group. It's like I said, it's the act or process. The definition is the act or process. 4. A, the action or the power of describing, explaining, or making definite and clear the definition of a telescope. Her comic genius is beyond definition. B, clarity of visual presentation. Clarity, excuse me, Your Honor, point of clarity. Clarity of visual presentation. Clarity of verbal expression. You're wanting them to define it for you so that you can come up with your definition of what it means when they say it to you. Your interpretation of their statutes, codes, laws, rules, regulations, and the words that they use therein. Person. Let's see. Distinction of outline or detail. Improve the definition of an image. And then it says clarity, especially of musical sound in reproduction. Definition, sharp demarcation of outlines or limits. A jacket with distinct waist definition. So when you going through these words and everything and you're coming across the definitions, remember they're just another man's opinion. So look them up in various different places and see what they all have in common and make your own definition. Define them yourself. They're your words. And you can only use them if you know how they're defined. Hey, love y'all. God bless. That's all I got.